Hi there, everybody. This is Patrick Duffy, and you're listening to TV Confidential.
Blue moon, you saw me standing alone.
Ed Robertson, welcome you back to TV Confidential, radio talk show about television that's happy to welcome back Linda Purl. Linda Purl, the accomplished actress and singer that most of you know best for her work in television, including playing Ashley Pfister on Happy Days, Pam Beasley's mother, Helene, in The Office, and Ben Matlock's daughter, Charlene Matlock, in the first season of the original Matlock. Linda Purl, however, has deep roots in theater, having begun her career in the theater in Japan, where she was raised and became the only foreigner to have trained at the Toho Gano Academy, then continued to study acting at Lambda, as well as the Lee Strasberg Institute and the legendary Neighborhood Playhouse in New York. Linda Purl will return to the stage later this month. She will star in the world premiere of a one-woman play called Crazy Mama that not only sheds light on the issue of mental illness with Southern-style humor and directness, but will feature Linda playing 16 different characters. We'll tell you more about Crazy Mama in just a second. Linda Purl, welcome back to our program.
Thank you for having me. Nice to be here.
This is a one-woman play. We mentioned in our open you play 16 different characters. Is that what attracted you to Mama in the first place? Have you ever done anything like this before?
Believe me, I've never done 16 characters, but I have done a one-woman show, and once I started going into this, I thought, what did I do? Because I forgot how steep the climb can be. However, two things. One, it's a fabulously written piece. It's an autobiographical account of the playwright's childhood trauma when her mother had a sudden psychotic break when Sharon was just 8 years old. So lo, these many years later, she sat down to review and try to understand what had happened in her life, and she's done so with such soul and courage and artistry. So that was the main thing, but also, of course, it's being directed by my dear lifelong friend, Anson Williams, who's married to Sharon. So there were just too many wonderful things about it to be able to say no. As for the 16 characters, I don't know. That's certainly new for me. But I would say that as a friend sat through a rehearsal the other day, and he said, it's not so much that you're being the characters, is that you are reminiscing them for the audience. So it's not like we change costumes, but hopefully there's a little bit of shape-shifting involved, and you get a sense through me of these other characters, all of whom were prominent in Sharon's childhood. Her father, her aunt, her brother. So that's the 16 character part.
Crazy Mama will make its world premiere at the legendary Rubicon Theatre in Ventura, California, Wednesday, March 26th. 10 performances, Wednesday, March 26th through Sunday, April 6th. Tickets and more information, call 805-667-2900 or go to rubicontheater.org/events/Crazy Mama. Okay, you anticipated one of my questions, Linda, because I was thinking, okay, I'm not an actor. I just talked to Linda Purl on the radio. But I was going to ask, in a situation like this, do you think in terms of all 16, or do you think in terms of Sharon and her mother, since those are the two main personalities you assume in the course of the play?
Yeah, I think, ask me in a month and I'll know a lot more stages, but I'm taking it like you do any steep mountain. You take it one step at a time, and just be as present as you can to the moment and the emotions of the moment. So, the main thing for me is that it is, first of all, Sharon is from the South, from Virginia, and as is my mother's kin. So there are synchronicities in this play. I feel sometimes like her auntie was my auntie. And even, just silly things. I was rehearsing this the other day in my sister's den, and she has some paintings up that our mother did. Our mother from Virginia, exactly where Sharon's family is from. And our mother was I like to paint, and she had, this is so long really to tell this silly story, but anyway, mother had painted a gray clapboard house that was surrounded by blue hydrangeas in the summer. Well, I'm standing there speaking to the wall, and suddenly, and Sharon is on Zoom, and Anson on Zoom, we were just doing a virtual rehearsal, and I said, oh my gosh, and I had to turn the camera around because in the play, Sharon talks about running to the safety of her gray clapboard house that was surrounded by blue hydrangeas. So, I mean, the synchronicities in our lives are kind of startling, actually.
Crazy Mama makes its world premiere at the Rubicon Theatre in Ventura, California, Wednesday, March 26th, 10 performances only, March 26th through Sunday, April 6th. Tickets for more information, 805-667-2900 or rubicontheater.org/events/Crazy Mama. Linda Purl, the star of Crazy Mama, on the phone with us right now. You mentioned the rehearsal process. Now, again, you're talking to a non-actor here, but my understanding is one of the key differences between rehearsing for a film, to the extent you have time to rehearse for a film, and rehearsing for the stage is the benefit of the stage is you have the writer with you pretty much the entire process. Is that true? And how helpful is that for you as a performer?
Well, very helpful. Of course, unless you're doing Shakespeare, then that's a little range. But in this case, I mean, Sharon has, I think there are slight edits that she's going to be making when we see it up on its feet. You know, when we, I mean, in fact, we already have done that a little bit. Just things like, oh, gee, this line, this sentence might be a little bit better transposed, or some such. So it is kind of a work in progress. They're just surprises and things that happen, inspirations that happen with the lighting designer in the room, with the set designer, certainly with Anson and Sharon, who are so profoundly connected to this work. So there is some play. There is a bit of jazz in it. However, once it's set, it's set. And to the best of my ability, I will be saying every syllable that Sharon wrote.
Well, it's interesting that you say there's a little bit of jazz in it, because, you know, just as the theater has always been in your blood, you know, so has music, so has jazz. And I mean, I understand that you were first exposed to jazz when you were a young girl with some of the music that your parents played growing up. And one of the great things about jazz is that it allows you the opportunity to riff. Even if you're performing something more or less by the page per word, you know, you still have some liberty as a performer. Because it's a combination of what Sharon has on the page and what you bring to life from your channeling, your experience in bringing the character to life.
Correct. Yeah, that's very true. But so we, you know, there will be some things that we'll find together, and we'll just, you know, we'll probably move things around a little bit. The other thing is that it is, for all intents and purposes, a one woman piece. However, there is another person on stage, and they're calling that character Blues Man, and he is now, this is terrible, I haven't met the gentleman, but I know he's been cast. So anyway, he is in effect a Greek chorus. He just comes in gently between chapters and sings a song or two about that, and talks a little bit, sort of just a chorus, provides an objective view and a little bit of music, hopefully to let things settle in. I think one of the things that surprised me about this so much is how funny it is. I mean, Sharon's got some eccentric family members, and she brings them to life in her writing, and they're just knee-slapping funny. So it's a very emotionally charged piece, but I'm looking forward to, you know, feeling the audience response to some of her fabulous aunties and uncles. Colorful, to say the least.
Colorful, to say the least. Linda Purl's on the line with us. Linda's about to star in the world premiere of Crazy Mama, an emotionally riveting tale written by Sharon Scott Williams that will make its world premiere at the legendary Rubicon Theatre, 1006 East Main Street in Ventura, California. 10 performances only, beginning Wednesday, March 26th through Sunday, April 6th. Tickets for more information, call 805-667-2900, or go to rubicontheater.org/events/Crazy Mama. You mentioned this is an autobiographical piece, written. It's based on Sharon's own experience and her relationship with her mom. This is not the first time you've played an actual person versus a fictional character, Linda. As you prepare for this, or as you prepare to play a real person in general, do you approach it differently as you would a fictional character, or are the basics more or less the same?
That's interesting. I probably should, but I don't. I think, it's also a benefit of good writing, and this definitely falls into that category. So everything you need, I think, is on the page to help, bring it alive. I mean, there was and I did not do it, there was a wonderful one-woman play about Katharine Hepburn, and she was such a known character. I think the actresses who took that role on, they had to do an impersonation of her. Miss Hepburn was just too well known for an actress to do anything else. But for instance, when I did Year of Magical Thinking, also an autobiographical piece written by the late, great Joan Didion, Joan, her writing was incredibly well known. However, her body language, the timbre of her voice, not quite so much. So I felt I had great liberty there and didn't feel, again, rightly or wrongly, the need to try to impersonate her. So I don't feel the need to impersonate Sharon, but believe me, I am trying to channel her as much as I can. But then, again, full circle back to the whole thing of there's so much in the writing that I feel like I'm not flying blind here. Any actor who might take this piece on is very, very well supported by her writing.
Yes, and plus, and as in any production, whether it's for the film or for the stage, at some point a metamorphosis happens. Even though you're going by the script and it's based on your understanding of the script, there's a point where you as the actor, as the performer, is going to understand that character even better than the writer.
Well, we'll see. I don't know that that's going to be the case, but I tell you, it's fascinating. I have actually never met Sharon in person. Anson I've known for 50 years, but we've Zoomed now, and it's very interesting to get to know someone so well before you actually meet them. It's actually kind of creepy. We're jumping in at the very, very, very deep end together, Sharon and I. About Rubicon, I love that theater. I did their first production there over 30 years ago, I guess now, and I think this is either my 10th or my 13th production there. I mean, I love the theater. I love the town of Ventura. They have, through the decades, they have proven themselves again and again. So this is a real homecoming for me to be in Rubicon and to be there with Anson. I mean, Anson and I first met at the very early days of Happy Days and have remained friends ever since. After Happy Days, as you know, Anson went on to have a wonderful career as a director. So he's directed me a few times in other television pieces through the decades. And we were saying the other day, could we have imagined 50 years ago when we met that the weave of our life would be this intimately connected all these decades later? I mean, it's so wonderful. It's so packed with treasure of life that I'm very, very grateful. And it's rare that you would have an opportunity to really delve into each other's life, on this level. Oh, you might get together for a lunch or dinner and reminisce and all that's fine, but to actually be back in the arena with our sleeves rolled up and having a go at a very, very beautiful, chewy piece of art is absolutely thrilling.
Plus, forget the fact that you've known each other for 50 years. The fact that you have worked together previously as actor and director, that gives you a shorthand, does it not, in terms of how he works, He knows how you work. You don't have to waste time learning each other. You can focus on the material and bringing the material to life as best you both can.
Absolutely. That's so true. I think that the key word is that we trust each other. You know, we adore each other, but we trust each other. I know I'm in good hands, and hopefully vice versa. And I know from how Sharon and Anson have spoken about this, this is obviously a very powerful, meaningful piece for them, but they also see the possibility of greater good that this play can. This is a painful topic of what happens to a person and the collateral damage around a mental illness.
Yeah.
And hopefully this is the thing about doing live art or art period, is that it creates an opportunity for deeper understanding, for conversation. And there are not that many serious plays about mental illness that really breaks into this. I did sort of a quasi-rehearsal for some friends the other day just to be able to speak the words in public, and I just did the first act, and there was a girlfriend there who afterwards said, this is a girl I've known for a decade, and we've never spoken about this. She said that her grandmother had been thrown into an institution where she perished, and it was a very painful subject for her, certainly for her mother, and so anyway, it gave birth to this whole conversation and a side of her life that I had not known about, something that was very painful. Even though her grandmother was long gone, the healing process continues. So I know that Anson and Sharon feel mission-driven to have this play come about and create this opportunity for conversation and healing both.
Crazy Mama makes its world premiere at the legendary Rubicon Theatre in Ventura, California, Wednesday, March 26th through Sunday, April 6th, 805-667-2900 or rubicontheater.org/events/Crazy Mama. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call Karen Strain at 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.
One more item. If you're starting a company, particularly one that is in an emerging market, you know that averting any sort of legal dispute is crucial to your business plan. Our friends at Tectonic Law offer an array of services that can help you avoid and preempt future litigation while also developing and protecting your intellectual property and intangible assets. Tectonic Law serves the needs of a host of emerging industries throughout California and beyond, including industrial designers, beverage makers, artists, farmers, retail stores, health practitioners, wellness experts, cosmetics manufacturers, nonprofit organizations, innovators in sustainable practices, and libraries. Go to tectoniclaw.com to learn more about how Tectonic Law can help your business thrive. tectoniclaw.com. Rock solid representation for groundbreaking industries.
Hi, this is Marion Ross. You are listening to TV Confidential.
Linda Purl will also be performing her new music show called Possibilities, Songs of Hope, Risk, and Maybe at the Catalina Jazz Club in Hollywood, California. One night only, Sunday, March 16th, beginning at 7:30. It's a dinner show. Dinner begins at 6 p.m. Tickets and more information, CatalinaJazzClub.com. We mentioned Crazy Mama is a quote-unquote reunion between you and Anson, even though you've known each other and you've been a part of each other's lives for the past 50 years. But one other person that the two of you have in common is Garry Marshall. Do you have a favorite memory or memories of working with Garry that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Oh, so many. I mean, he was one of the wisest persons I knew, and Gary's memorial, which went on for 4 hours, and it was far too short. It was a packed theater, and nobody wanted to leave. Everybody huddled in the lobby and out in the gardens, and we just talked and talked. And the theme was how Garry had moved their lives forward. He moved all of our lives forward. And he saw around corners. He saw through problems to solutions. So Garry, Happy Days rebuilt the Paramount lot. I mean, it rebuilt the commissary. The success of Happy Days, that is. It did the landscaping. It resurfaced all the streets. I mean, it was its success was so enormous. We were on stage 17, and this is crude. However, Garry could have given everybody the swankiest dressing rooms. He could have created a spa back there. He didn't. We all had perfectly serviceable little rooms, and there was one bathroom for the whole soundstage. And the brilliance of Garry to just keep it that way was related to his enlisting all of us, whether or not we wanted to, in the USO softball team, the softball team that did several USO tours. Because, I mean, one room for the facilities for everyone, and playing sports, regardless of your ability, they're both incredible equalizers. There's no room for ego. You just have that reminder that you're all in one and all in this together. And it was such a subtle thing to do, but I laugh and I try to imagine those conversations when I'm sure any number of people said, Garry, let's create several bathrooms and showers and all. I said, no, this is it. And so he was so wise. I mean, he was that person who was able to keep his finger on the pulse of what was about to happen. I mean, he saw trends coming. He set trends. He was endlessly curious about the human condition and the soul of generosity. I mean, I miss him. I know Anson does too. We all miss him. Oh, the other thing that Garry did so smart, he always had on the staff of writers, it was a very well-rounded sort of 360 view. He always had sort of the brilliant jokesters and then the brilliant people who were not so much joke, but they were character-driven. Somebody else was story-driven. Somebody else had just got off the bus from the Midwest, so that would be the reality check for the Midwest. And Garry also always kept at least one, usually two, old guys or gals who had written for the I Love Lucy. They'd written for Dick Van Dyke. They knew all the jokes. They had solved every problem there was to solve in sitcom writing. And when our brilliant younger staff of writers couldn't figure out how do we turn this corner, they would nudge Bob or Sally, whoever it was in the corner, and they would, well, that reminds me of the time in I Love Lucy when we needed to do X, Y, Z. And, of course, they earned their entire salary by presenting that one solution. But Garry saw the value of having that. He knew the value of his elders.
Plus, you had Jerry Paris. Speaking of the Dick Van Dyke Show, he was he directed almost every episode of Happy Days, didn't he?
Correct, he did, and Jerry was very much in that same boat. I mean, the wealth of experience that he brought to that as an actor and as a director, and between the two of them, they just saw to it that there was an atmosphere in that company, always on that soundstage, that was fun, it was lighthearted, it nurtured innocence, and that was their doing. I don't know if they just found that or if they agreed or contractually or otherwise or tacitly, but that's how it was. There was a tremendous synchronicity and very profound weave, that's witnessed these many years later. I mean, Donnie's a friend, Henry's a friend. I know all the boys are close. They've seen each other through every chapter of life.
Final question. Last time you visited my show, you and Patrick talked about Duffy's Dough. I checked out the website. Is there something coming in the spring that you're able to talk about?
Thank you so much for asking. There is something coming in the spring, and we're not at liberty to talk about it yet. So very, but anyway, we're exciting. It's also a big mountain for us, a big learning curve, and the whole purpose behind starting this company was really we are just inspired by Paul Newman and what he did and the company that he created to give back. So that's what we're working at, and we'll have an announcement coming later in the spring.
Well, tell you what, when you're able you're able to announce it, when you're able to market it and all that stuff, please, I hope you and Patrick will come back and visit me again.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much.
In the meantime, Linda Purl will be starring in the world premiere of Crazy Mama, an emotionally riveting tale written by Sharon Scott Williams at the legendary Rubicon Theatre in Ventura, California. 10 performances only, Wednesday, March 26th through Sunday, April 6th. Tickets and more information, 805-667-2900 or rubicontheater.org/events/Crazy Mama. Linda Purl will also be performing her new music show called Possibilities, Songs of Hope, Risk, and Maybe at the Catalina Jazz Club in Hollywood, California. One night only, Sunday, March 16th, beginning at 7:30. Tickets and more information, CatalinaJazzClub.com. We'll play part 2 of our conversation with Ann Serling, Jody Serling, and Mark Scott Secree about the legacy of Rod Serling when we come back on TV Confidential.